Now let's talk about processing automation. We can automate any of the parameters in Ableton from any of the effects that we have. And one of those could be, let's say, filters. Now I have filters on these synths, all of them. I have a high pass filter that already has automation on its macro right here. See the high pass filter, the macro. And why do I have that? Well, when I'm getting out of this last piece of music where everything's playing, I high pass out and then high pass in slowly. So let's hear what that sounds like. So as you see, I do have a lot of filters separately on each one of these synths, but I also do have this high pass that's going to create that filter of whooshing out, just thinning out the sound really before it goes into the break. So let's hear that with all the music. Now, what I could also do is use that automation for the high pass filter to go out right here, slowly, go out, and then just come back before the drop, just like that. Let's try that, like this. Nice, so thin it out and get an impact once all of this shebang actually starts. Now, seeing how we can automate any parameter, it is up to our creative decision to decide what we are going to automate. It could be filters, in an EQ. We could be applying compression and then not applying compression at some points. So let's say right here, since we have that sidechaining going on from the kick drum, as you can see, I don't need to automate anything on the synths if I have that sidechaining happening, just like I have right here, so I can copy that to the synths. Sidechaining is only going to happen when there is any kick drum on this track, since that is where we are, pulling the sidechain from. So you see the sidechaining actually stops once we have no kick drum playing. So I don't need to automate that, so as to leave these synths without any, ducking when there's no kick drum. That's actually an automated process. Now, what I can do is automate all of those filters that I have, see right there, and I automate those to actually get some movement in this song. So all of these synthesizers, I automate them to actually get a progression out of them to actually get that swooping all the way up here for the climax. So from all the way down, as you can see that, I'm automating the cutoffs of these serums right there. So I'm automating the cutoff filter right here on this one. Let's see that moving. So you see that I'm doing that for this synth too, this one too. So I'm giving all of them some movement, some progression, so that they don't just stay there and just play. So I'm using filters to actually create progression in all of these melodies, and mostly in electronic music there is a lot of filters going on right there. What I also could do, instead of just, you see this is a cut filters that we are applying, so the low pass and the high pass, just cut filters. What I could do is actually apply some EQ, like this EQ that I have right here. So this number 4 is a shelf filter when I'm raising all the highs. Well, I could automate this gain right here. I can make a new lane for it, and I could actually bring those highs up, since this is all that I'm leaving right there. Let me show you with this high pass in the macro. So this is all I'm leaving right there. I'm high passing out and I'm leaving only the highs. What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to boost those highs right there, where they're happening. Just boost it. And then, well, not maybe that much, maybe 7 decibel. That's more than double. So I'm going to boost those. And then I'm going to come back again to some normal setting right there, moderate, when it's playing with everything else, because I do want to hear all these hi-hats right here that I have in these drums. So in order to hear all of those hi-hats, I can't have all of this synth wailing, all that high frequency noise all over, all on top of everything. So let's hear what does that sound like when I boost these highs and then bring them down back again. Now that's really nice. As you can understand yourself, you can automate any parameter in any of the processing elements that we have on any of these tracks. So on any of the channels, any button, any knob, any parameter can be made to have automation. Now, some of the special things you can do in Ableton is this. Well, let's say I have this filter, and as you see, when it's all the way down, this filter still applies a low cut at 26 hertz. Well, maybe I actually don't want that. I don't want it to have this 26 hertz applied, this cut applied. I want a clean signal when I don't want any, filtering. Now, once I do some filtering, okay, but once I go all the way down, I don't even want it to cut below 26. I don't want anything applied to my sound. So how would I achieve that? Well, I could actually automate that filter, and I could automate this parameter right here, this on and off button. You see that device on and device off. I could automate that and say, okay, now it's on when I have any filtering going on, and I want it off when I don't have any filtering going on, like right here when it stops. But that would be really complicated. Imagine doing this like twice, so applying double automation for anything that you want to do. I'm just going to delete that automation. I don't actually need it. I'm going to show you how you can do that in Ableton. So what I've done right here is I've done that kind of an effect. To do that again, actually show it to you, I'm going to delete that right here. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to do that again for you. So I'm going to apply a filter. That's what I wanted in the first place. I want to apply a high pass filter, just like this. High pass, and I want that filter to be bypassed once it's all the way down. So how am I going to do that? Well, as I've shown you the thing with the delay and the parallel chain that I had with the dry and the wet, we can do the same thing here, but just a tiny bit more complex, connecting one more thing to the macro. So I'm going to group this, right click, go group, just click on the group right there. And now on this button, I can show all the chains I have and all the macros I have right there. So this is going to be the filter. I'm going to rename this. Right click, rename, say filter, like this. And I'm going to create another chain. That's going to be the clean chain. Okay, so I'm going to rename that too. Say clean. Oh, not really good. Clean. Okay, nice. Now, if I played it, by the way, like right here, I would have the signal coming out of this one and that one. So I would have the filtered and the unfiltered signal at the same time. See that? I don't want that. So what I want to do right here is once this filter is all the way down, I want it to bypass. I want it to switch to this clean chain where there is no filtering. Okay, so I'm going to connect to this macro right here. I'm going to connect this frequency. So this macro is going to be controlling the frequency of this filter. Nice. Now I want to control one more thing. Where does the sound go through? Which one of these chains? And I can do that too by clicking here on the chain. And now you see I have both of those. Now this can be moved. You see this orange marker right there? I can move that, and curiously it has 128 movements, just like that. So it's purely MIDI, 7-bit. So I can control where these are. So I can put one next to another and say, okay, now it's going through the upper one, you see, when I play. And if I move that back here, it's going only to the lower one. So by moving this, I can select which one of these parallel chains is going to go through. So I want the lowermost position to go through the clean chain, and I want all the position above. I'm going to spread this out by dragging one of the edges. I want all of the other positions to actually have the filter on. And I'm going to connect this orange selector for the chain to the same macro right here. So now when I move this macro, I'm moving the frequency of the filter and I'm moving the chain selector. You see anywhere upwards of 0. So the moment I switch from 0 to 1, I'm already going through the filter and I am filtering. But once I go down to 0, I'm moving this frequency all the way down, but also I'm selecting the clean chain to be the one that's transducing the signal. So hence I have bypassed the filter altogether by connecting this macro to the actual chain selector and to this filter cutoff frequency. Of course, in this chain, I have made it so that this lowermost position goes through the clean and all the position above that go through the filter. Let's try that out so I can show you that once I go up, it's filtering, going through the filter, and you'll see once I reach 0, immediately goes through the clean. So let me play only the melodies for you right here. And you see, the moment I reach 0, I'm routing the sound from the filter, from this chain where the filter is, to the clean chain. Now, I can do the same thing like this with the low pass filter. But there is a change that I need to make. Okay, I have selected the low pass filter. But now what happens? I'm still filtering when I go all the way up. So what I need right now is the selection, this chain selection thing, to be different. I want the sound to go through the clean once the position of this macro knob is all the way up and everything going through the filter anywhere below 127, just like this. Okay, so I can do that. And now once I go all the way up, I don't want any more filtering and it's going to go through the clean. Let's hear that too. And you see, the moment I reach this 127 mark, the signal goes no longer through the filter chain and through this filter, goes through the clean, nothing being applied. So this is one of the things you can do. And an easier solution to what we just did by moving, you see this selection all the way up, all the way down. What I could have done actually to avoid this, to avoid moving this up and down, what I could have done is go to map and you see this macro, I can choose it right here. I could have reversed this frequency selection. You see, because low pass lets everything pass through below and the most upper setting, you know, with the highest frequency is the one that sounds most bypassed, where I want to actually stop processing. Well, I could have reversed that setting right here. So make the minimum the maximum and maximum minimum, just like that. Now when I do this, you see, it's reversed. When I move the knob, the macro knob downwards, the frequency moves upwards, just like that. So just like in a high pass filter, once I go all the way down, the filter is all the way open and the sound is routed through the clean. So two solutions to that, you know, reversal is either moving this entire thing just like that. So moving this one upwards, having it at normal, or as I've shown you just now, you can click the map and then play with the settings of the minimum and maximum frequency right here for the filter. So reversing those, making your maximum your minimum and your minimum your maximum, effectively reversing the control of this macro. So the more you go up, the actually more you go down with the frequency and vice versa. Now, this is just one of the things you could do, but once you know the engine that makes this move, so once you know the engine can do that you can actually move from one chain to another and to another. I could even add another chain right here, create it, and then involve that one right here, a piece of this, and run the signal through that too. Then you see how complex all of this processing can actually become. What you can do yourself by using simple effects just like these, combining them, and using the power of these macros that can control more than one thing at the same time to create really special and really complex processing.